What's up, everyone? Matt here, and welcome to another episode of Down Once More. This week, I'm going to be going through what's coming to streaming and what's coming to theaters in the month of May. If this is your first time here, welcome. Make sure you like, comment, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff that I have to say. Get that out of the way now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going through all the different streaming services, saying what are kind of the standouts to me that are coming this month. It could be new releases, it could be originals, it could be things that have been out for a while, but they're new to the streaming service this month. So we'll go through that. We'll go through what's coming to theaters. At the end of this week's episode, I'm going to do a little special thing, a review of a community theater production of Next to Normal. Get your little musical fix in as well. Next to Normal is a musical that is one of my favorites, and so getting to see it live was very special for me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end. Also, a little bit of a disclaimer. I am recording this on Sunday, the 27th, because I will be traveling for work the next week, and Amazon Prime has not released what all is coming to the streaming site this month, so that will be a little lighter. So a little disclaimer there. Also, if you're new, time codes I have for which streaming service I'm going over when. So if you're like, I don't have that streaming service, I don't care, feel free to skip around. Check out the descriptions. I try to put time codes in there to be as helpful and useful as possible for you. So now let's get into it, and let's start with Netflix. A decent chunk of stuff coming to Netflix this month. First up, on May 1st, so tomorrow, if you're watching this as it airs, is The Four Seasons. It is a mini series. It has Tina Fey, Coleman Domingo, Steve Carell, just a fantastic cast about a few suburban couples that vacation together each season. And so this is going through the 4 seasons of their vacations, different tensions that arise, drama within the couples. It looks very intriguing, like a fun kind of adult comedy. They're kind of middle-aged couples and people going through that. So looks fun. Really excited about that. It's an 8-episode miniseries. You also have the Steve Carell classic rom-com with him, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Crazy Stupid Love. You have Dawn of the Dead. You have Eat, Pray, Love. You have the Denzel Washington starring Equalizer 2 coming out. And then you also have Oceans 11, 12, and 13. And then you have the A24 Korean romance movie, Past Lives, coming out. This is one that got a lot of buzz. By all accounts, fantastic movie. I haven't checked it out yet, so I'm excited that's coming to Netflix. I'll watch it there. The old cult classic Starship Troopers coming to Netflix on the 1st as well as the Lego movie and the Clint Eastwood starring The Mule, where he's a drug mule for the Mexican cartel, that movie, and then the Twilight series. The entire Twilight series is coming to Netflix. So if you have not watched the Sparkly Vampire movie, now will be your chance. On May 8th, Hard Eyes, the horror rom-com movie, comes out to Netflix. I was interested in seeing this in theaters. It came out around Valentine's Day. I didn't get the chance to. I'm excited to get to check it out now. On the 9th is Nonas. It's a Netflix original movie with Vince Vaughn. It's based on a true story where he wants to honor his mother after her passing and open up an Italian restaurant that's ran, and the chefs are a group of local grandmothers. So they're cooking their famous recipes. It says food is love, and wants to pass that on through the food. It looks like a really heartwarming movie. In the trailer, some of the shots of the food and the cooking give me kind of chef vibes with Jon Favreau, which I loved. I'm all in for a good cooking movie that centers around that. And you throw family. Susan Sarandon's in it, as well as Joe Manganiello, Drea De Matteo from Sopranos, and then Linda Cardellini. Fantastic cast. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited to watch that when it comes out on the 9th. On May 11th, the ABBA Against the Odds BBC documentary is dropping on Netflix. So if you want to find out more about the Swedish pop band, there's your chance. Netflix original series Bad Thoughts, which is a Tom Segura comedy series, a scripted comedy series, comes out on May 13th. Tom Segura has blown up in the past few years. Really fun comic. I'm excited to see this show. We had Tires, the Shane Gillis starring comedy, last year, and season 2's coming out a little bit later this year. And that was a lot of fun. We're getting these new comics a chance to kind of do their own thing and see some success with their comedy series. So I'm excited for Bad Thoughts. And then the 2022 horror movie Smile comes out on May 14th. And then one of the things I'm most excited about is on May 15th, Love, Death, and Robots Season 4 comes out. This is kind of a anthology series. Each episode's its own thing. Different seasons have had sequel episodes that have come out, but they're all different creators and different animated series and different styles. It's been a lot of fun. Some are way over the top and don't quite do it for me. Some are like the perfect balance of like heartwarming and wild. It's just all over the place, and it's hard to describe without checking it out. It is definitely an adult animated series, but I'm excited for season 4. I've enjoyed seasons 1 through 3 so far. And then on May 22nd, another Netflix, I think this one's a mini series as well, Sirens comes out. It has Megan Fahey, Millie Alcock, Julianne Moore, Glenn Howerton, Kevin Bacon in it. It kind of gives Millie Alcock, her sister goes after her, and she's working at this new job, which is almost like compound cult-like at this kind of resort that's led by Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon. And it looks kind of sinister, kind of intriguing. Looks like there's more than meets the eye going on, not Transformers. But I'm excited for this series. It's a fantastic cast. Love Millie Alcock in the House of the Dragon series. We only got her in season 1 because of the time jump. But great actress. She'll be playing Supergirl in James Gunn's newly revamped DC universe as well. So excited for that. And Julianne Moore and Glenn Howerton, always fantastic. And Kevin Bacon, always a lot of fun too. On May 23rd, Fear Street Prom Queen comes out. This is another entry in the Fear Street series. A year or two, I think it was actually probably 2 or 3 years ago, they released a 3-part, like a movie trilogy that all took place in different time periods in the Fear Street trilogy. I loved them. Thought it was a lot of fun. Original, kind of like the teen horror slasher vibes from yesteryear, if you will. And so I'm excited for this new entry in the series. Not really a full trailer released for it yet, so not much to say on that, but I'm really excited for it. I love the first 3. And then a documentary series, Air Force Elite Thunderbirds, about the elite fighter pilot squad, kind of one of the 2 most well-known ones, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. If you visited an air show, you've probably seen the Thunderbirds. You've seen one or both of those. In the age of Top Gun, this is an interesting chance to see what happens in real life with these fighter pilot squadrons and everything that they deal with and go through. So excited about that. I'm not usually a huge documentary guy, but this one intrigues me. And then also on May 23rd, Big Mouth Season 8, the final season of the Nick Kroll and John Mulaney animated comedy coming of age youth adolescence show that is very over the top and a very kind of goes shock value a little bit with it. Comes out, premieres on the 23rd. So I enjoyed it. I've fallen behind on seasons of that, but I'm a big Nick Kroll fan. It also has Jason Mantzoukas in it. I'm a big Jason Mantzoukas fan. I've talked about it on here before. How Did This Get Made? One of my favorite podcasts with him, Paul Scheer, and June Diane Raphael. So really excited about this. Sad it's coming to a close, but it's probably time. 8 seasons of a raunchy animated comedy of teenagers and making jokes about their genitals. Probably 8 seasons is enough of that. On May 24th, the Oscar-nominated animated movie The Wild Robot makes its Netflix debut. And then on May 29th, a British crime drama, Department Q, comes out. I don't know much about this, not a full trailer on it, but I'm always in for a good crime drama, and those Brits know some good television, so I'm all in for this. So that's going to be it for what's coming to Netflix in May. Next up, we'll do Apple TV Plus. Only a few things, but the Alexander Skarsgård series Murderbot, which is based on a novel, premieres on May 16th. This kind of sci-fi action comedy epic, looks like a lot of fun. I love Alexander Skarsgård. I think he's a fantastic actor. Really excited about that. And then on May 23rd, Fountain of Youth comes out. It is a action adventure. It gives major Indiana Jones, Sahara, Uncharted, those kind of The Mummy, those kind of vibes, that kind of treasure hunting action adventure movie. And Guy Ritchie, I'm a big Guy Ritchie fan. I like what he did with the Sherlock Holmes series. I think this looks like a lot of fun. It stars John Krasinski, Natalie Portman as Domhnall Gleeson in it as well. Really excited about this. And Apple usually has pretty solid originals, and original movies. So I'm excited about that. Those are the only two things really coming to Apple TV Plus. A quiet month for them, but they look like they'll both be solid, just like everything is with Apple. Next, we'll do Amazon Prime Video. Like I said, not much to announce yet besides their originals. But for the original side, they have Another Simple Favor, comes out on May 1st. This has had a lot of controversy around it just because everything going on with Blake Lively and the Justin Baldoni lawsuit. So there's been rumors circulating that Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick are on the outs. They don't want to be around each other. There were rumors this was never going to be released. Paul Feig, the director, said, yeah, that's not the case. It still just takes time to do post-production and get things ready. And now it's officially coming out on May 1st. I don't know how I feel about this. I loved A Simple Favor. I thought it was really well done. I thought Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick were both fantastic in it. And their chemistry and how they played off each other was fantastic. But no part of this screamed that it needed a sequel to me. Like, I feel like this one, the original, could be left as it is, especially with how that movie ended. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, give it a shot. Like I said, I enjoyed the first one. We'll see. I have Prime, so why not watch it? On May 6th, a David Spade comedy special, Dandelion, comes out. And then I'm going to call out another documentary as well. On May 8th, Octopus, a 2-part documentary series on octopuses? That doesn't sound right. Octopi. We're going to go with octopi. Comes out on Amazon Prime Video. All right. Let's go with HBO Max. So on May 1st, no original releases, but a lot of good things dropping. We have Chronicle, both the original and the director's cut version. This was kind of a found footage, lower budget film, but it has Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan about some teenagers that kind of get powers and what that would look like. It's lower budget, but it was fantastic. I loved this movie when it came out. I haven't revisited it, so maybe it doesn't hold up as well, but it seemed like this is more like what would actually happen if a group of teenagers randomly actually got superpowers. And I really enjoyed it. Michael B. Jordan, Dane DeHaan give fantastic performances in it. So that's coming out on Max. If you haven't checked it out, do that. Inception, the classic Christopher Nolan movie. The Goonies, which, fun fact, or don't hate me, I saw The Goonies for the first time a few years ago. The classic movie. And then also The Princess Bride, another classic. The Shining, Silence of the Lambs. Lots of good classic movies coming to Max on May 1st. On May 3rd, Ready Player One, the adaptation of the novel, comes out. I think it was a 2018 movie. I thought it was a fun sci-fi movie. It wasn't one of the best that is going to make the top of my list, but I thought it was really good. I believe it's Ty Sheridan in it in the lead role. Really, really good job in there. Fun movie. On May 8th, season 2 premiere of Conan O'Brien's travel series, Conan O'Brien Must Go, comes out. And then on May 9th, the A24 Brendan Fraser starring movie The Whale comes out. This is a movie, it was kind of heavy, kind of sad, but Brendan Fraser gives a fantastic performance. I enjoyed it for what it was, and so does Sadie Sink. She gives a good performance in that as well. On May 12th, Where the Crawdads Sing is coming out on Max, so if you were a fan of the novel and you didn't flock to theaters, this movie, I went to see it in theaters with my wife. I didn't know much about it, but she said it's about kind of like a murder mystery. Well, she didn't say that. She said it starts with a murder at the beginning. And I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. And she's like, I don't know, there's some parts that might be too much for me. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be in action horror. I walk into the theater. The average age in the crowd, it's 50-year-old women primarily. And I'm like, I made my own assumptions of what this was, and it was not that, but good enough. And from what I hear, people who read the novel like it for the most part. So, on May 15th, the first kind of original, well, I guess Conan O'Brien Must Go is original, but new original series premiere, Duster, comes out. This set in 1972, Josh Holloway plays a getaway driver for this crime syndicate. And he is enlisted by a female FBI agent to she tries to turn him on his boss to help take down the crime boss. Set in 1972, gives those 70s action vibes. It's called Duster because Josh Holloway's getaway car is a Duster. So the trailer looks like a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for this series. And so that comes out on May 15th. On May 16th, the Oscar-winning movie The Brutalist, starring Adrian Brody, comes out. Long movie, 3+ hours, has an intermission built into it in theaters. I'm assuming they'll still have that in home video as well. But I'm excited to finally check that out. I've heard kind of polarizing, mixed things on that. But decided to get to watch it in the comfort of my home. Well, I do support theaters and producers and creatives in theaters when I can, but didn't get the chance to with that one. May 20th, Kong Skull Island comes out. I love the Kong movies, the new Skull Island one. It's a lot of fun. I also liked the old, I'm blanking on his name, the Lord of the Rings guy. Anyways, that King Kong movie with a Jack Black in it, weird casting, but it worked for me. A lot of fun. Gotta love the 3 hours director's cut as well. But Kong Skull Island on May 20th. On May 29th, if you're a Sex and the City fan, the season 3 premiere of And Just Like That, the sequel series that premiered a few years ago. Season 3 starts on the 29th. And then on May 31st, Mountainhead comes out. This is one don't know too much about. There's been one trailer released. It's from some of the writers of Succession. It gives those kind of vibes. It's 4 friends reuniting, kind of all in the tech field, it seems like, and kind of watching things collapse. One of them, it seems like it's going to kind of make some political statements. One of the guys seems like kind of a Facebook type, getting accused of his site spreading disinformation, deep fakes, catering to a certain political party. So it's going to be political. It's probably going to be a lot of dialogue, talking, well-written, sharp wit, just like Succession. I'm excited to check it out. A fun cast with Jason Schwartzman, Steve Carell, Rami Youssef, and I forget who the 4th guy was, so sorry about that. But looks intriguing. Comes to Max and HBO on May 31st. Let's take a look at Hulu next. It makes sense if I kept the order and these the same for each video, but I gotta keep you on your toes. So each month, different look at it. So on May 1st, again, no originals, but we got some good classics from the vault dropping out. We got Anaconda, Attack the Block, Con Air with Nicolas Cage doing his just fantastic accent work in it. You got Hacksaw Ridge. You have Horrible Bosses 1 and 2. 2 didn't really do it as much for me, but I loved Horrible Bosses 1, or just Horrible Bosses. A lot of fun. And then both the original Kingsman movies, Kingsman The Secret Service and Kingsman The Golden Circle, come out on May 1st. Secret Service, not nearly as good the Golden Circle, not nearly as good as the Secret Service for me. That first one has, with the church scene with Colin Firth, is fantastic. Taron Egerton is fantastic in it. A lot of fun, the Kingsman movies. Then they decided to go the prequel one, and The King's Man didn't quite do as much, and there were supposed to be like 2 or 3 more sequels after that, and I haven't heard anything in a while, so I think those kind of stalled out. And then Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3, and Ghost Protocol drop on May 1st. We have the new Mission Impossible movie coming out later this month, which we'll talk about when I talk about what's going to theaters. So you got some of the originals dropping on Hulu this month. And then once the Glenn Hansard and Marketa Glova, I believe that's her last name, musical is coming out on Hulu. One of my favorite duets in Falling Slowly. If you watched last week's episode, it was on the list. Great original musical. A lot of fun. Well, not really a lot of fun, but a lot of great music, and it'll pull on your heartstrings. So that's coming to Hulu. And then Star Wars Rogue One. And then you have the Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz starring Sex Tape coming out May 1st. And then Star Wars A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi drop on the 1st. And then Tropic Thunder. And then The Waitress movie, not the musical, the 2007 movie. And then Wedding Crashers, all coming out on the 1st. And then on May 9th, you have Hitman and Hitman Agent 47. If you played the video games, the Hitman movies are not the best, but they do have some fun moments. So that's coming out to Hulu. And then Men of Honor, the military drama. And then Transporter 1 and 2. Some good old Jason Statham action. Kind of some of his first ones, if I remember right. And they were fine, from what I remember. On May 13th, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation comes to Hulu. And then the first kind of Hulu original for the month, on May 21st, 9 Perfect Strangers, the season 2 premiere of that drops with Nicole Kidman. And then on May 23rd, The Last Showgirl, starring Pamela Anderson and Brenda Song, nominated for a number of awards this past award season. It's about a showgirl kind of having to figure out her next steps in life after her show of 30 years closes down unexpectedly. So I haven't watched it yet. Interested in checking it out. Pamela Anderson was up against kind of Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley for The Substance in a lot of roles this past award season. So excited to see this movie and the kind of performance that she gives. And then Adults, an FX series drops on May 29th. This is about a group of young 20-somethings living together, kind of navigating adulthood. FX, one of the best for series up there. I talked probably a year or two ago on here, kind of did tier ranking of FX series. I talked about like FX, in my opinion, for their original series and the quality of their content and how good it is consistently, is neck and neck with HBO on most of those. So I think you can put like HBO, FX, and Apple TV Plus now, just kind of neck and neck with each other. And then let's jump over to Disney Plus next, and we'll stay in the Disney family since we just did Hulu. On May 1st, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse comes out. And then on May 4th, new animated series Star Wars Tales of the Underworld comes out for Star Wars Day on May the 4th. So fitting. And then a few other walkthroughs of different places within Star Wars Galaxy's Edge drop on Disney Plus that day as well. And then on May 19th, Tucci in Italy comes out. It's a docu-series following Stanley Tucci and his global travels. So that comes out on May 19th. Let's jump over to Peacock now, and kind of keeping it a little bit in the Disney vein still, because on May 1st, they have a number of items dropping. And first up, we got The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, the Andrew Garfield starring Spider-Man movies. Personally, I've said it before, it's kind of a hot take. Andrew Garfield, one of my favorite Spider-Men before Tom Holland. I had him over Tobey Maguire. I just did. I feel like he embodied the smart ass nature of Spider-Man so well. He has a little bit too cool of a look for Peter Parker. Potentially people didn't like that, which I get, but I thought those movies were a lot of fun. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2 especially has some flaws, but them using the POV web swinging through the city, I felt like were fantastic and gave me some of my favorite shots in Spider-Man movies. And so I thought they're a lot of fun. If you haven't checked them out, do so on Peacock. And then also on May 1st, I'm going to fire through a number of other things that are dropping. We got Billy Madison. We have Expendables 1, 2, and 3. We have Legally Blonde and Legally Blonde 2. We have Get Out. We have Bridesmaids. Blended, Knocked Up, Neighbors, and Neighbors 2, which a lot of fun. Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, Zac Efron, Christopher Mintz-Plasse. A lot of fun with the cast. Again, second one, not nearly as good as the first one, in my opinion. The first Neighbors, fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Now You See Me and Now You See Me 2 are coming out, just in anticipation of the third one comes out later this year as well, I believe. The Notebook and The Rundown, Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, Split, The Town, and The Wedding Singer. Now, by my definition of a musical, for the sake of this podcast, it says when you have the main character singing at least twice. And so The Wedding Singer, we'll count that as a musical. And then you've got The Notebook and Legally Blonde, not musicals in and of themselves, but were adapted into Broadway musicals. So it works. We'll count it. On May 2nd, Black Bag comes out. Now, this just opened in theaters. I talked about it and what was coming to theaters just a couple months ago. Stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. It's a Steven Soderbergh spy drama. Looks like a lot of fun. Got fantastic reviews. At the time, people were saying it was the best movie to come out in 2025 so far. I haven't had a chance to watch it, so I'm excited to check it out on Peacock and just later this week. And then Poker Face Season 2 premieres on May 8th, and they'll have weekly releases. This is one I'm ashamed to say I haven't gotten around to watch Season 1 of it, but I've heard nothing but good things of this kind of crime solving each episode of the week series, and excited to check it out. I think now that Season 2 is dropping, it's time to binge Season 1. On May 9th, the critically panned movie Love Hurts comes out. It has Ke Huy Quan and Ariana DeBose, an action comedy. I talked about it when it was coming to theaters. I was intrigued. I love Ke Huy Quan. I like Ariana DeBose. She's made some interesting choices since West Side Story, and being nominated in that, like her, just the films that she's chosen, her agent is not doing her any favors, but it still looks like it could be fun, so I'll check it out. I'll report back if I'm completely wrong. It's no fun. It has Marshawn Lynch in it, too. I'm pretty sure, the football player. It's either that or Novocaine that he's in. But on May 15th, John Wick 1 through 4 is coming out. So basically all the John Wick movies that exist so far. And then Trolls Band Together. If you want some to watch with the family, with the kids, Trolls Band Together comes out the 15th. And hey, there's some music for you. Then May 18th, Jordan Peele's Nope comes out. Really interesting. It didn't quite hit the Get Out levels or even the Us levels for me, but still really good, really solid movie. And then Paramount Plus, the last streamer that we'll take a look at. Nothing really original that stood out to me this month, just going to be honest, at least not that they've announced yet. On May 1st, they dropped Days of Thunder, Green Book, Just Friends, Old Boy, and Parasite. So those are the ones that kind of stood out to me that are coming to the streamer this month, but no originals, nothing too crazy, but still wanted to include them and throw them in here. All right, let's talk about what's coming to theaters in May. So starting this week on Friday, May 2nd, we have Thunderbolts, the new Marvel movie. And this, I'm going to be honest, is the most excited I've been for a Marvel movie in a while. Captain America 4, Brave New World, I went in pretty hesitantly. The trailers didn't do a ton to get me super hyped. I was worried they were putting too much in the trailers. I was right. And it kind of fell a little flat for me. This looks very original, and they're trying to take a new marketing tactic to it as well, because they know that people are kind of getting Marvel burnout a little bit. The MCU has been panned as of late, and so they're marketing it with advertising all the people who have worked on its A24 projects that they've worked on, which I think is fantastic. A24 puts out some just wacky, some really unique things and showcases the creative side of these writers, directors, and actors, and so I think that's a really cool approach to take to it. So I'm really excited for Thunderbolts. We'll see. I've seen positive early reactions to it, and I'll probably talk about it on here once I get the chance to see it. Like I said, I'll be traveling, so it could be a while before I get to see it, but we'll see. And then Rust comes out. This is the movie starring Alec Baldwin that shut down for a while due to the tragedy of Helena Hutchins' death on site due to when they were filming and the prop gun just being loaded with live rounds and how things went with that. Very tragic, very sad, but the movie, Helena Hutchins' husband took over as an executive producer when they went back for reshoots, and it is getting released on May 2nd. So unfortunate, it sounds like there was stuff with the working conditions and production too, that just firing people, bringing in non-union ones, just it sounds like the production of it was a mess, which is, like I said, unfortunate because it does look like it is a solid modern Western potentially. Well, it takes place in like the 1800s, but coming out in modern days. And then the Nicolas Cage psychological thriller The Surfer comes out. This movie looks wild. It looks like peak Nicolas Cage acting wise, and it looks weird, quirky, violent at times, trippy. It looks like a fever dream is what it looks like. And so intrigued to watch this. The Surfer, May 2nd. Now the following week, May 9th, we're actually getting a new original musical. I hesitate on original because Juliet and Romeo. So it's telling the story of the story of Romeo and Juliet. The Shakespeare story. It is a pop musical with Clara Rugaard and Jamie Ward, also featuring Rebel Wilson, Jason Isaacs, of course, who you'd think you would have in a new movie musical, but tells the familiar story told with pop music. So interested in this? The songs in the trailer were catchy enough, so I'll probably give it a shot. And then we have the A24 movie Friendship with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. And I'll tell you what, from the trailers, I'm not sure if this is a comedy or a horror movie, or like a psychological thriller. Even like the comments they had from people who have seen it were misleading. Like one person says it was scary, one says it's the funniest movie of the year. I have no idea what this movie is, but I love Paul Rudd. Tim Robinson, I Think You Should Leave, had a kind of resurgence, and people picked it up a few years ago, so his comedy's been appreciated as of late. He also has an HBO series coming out in a few months as well, and so I'm intrigued by this. This is one I may actually need to check out in theaters as well. Because one of the comparisons was that it was I Love You Man for sickos, which I love you man. And so I'm excited. We'll check it out. And then we have Fight or Flight. This stars Josh Hartnett, who's on a plane, and it basically looks like, if you watch Bullet Train, it looks like Bullet Train on a plane. He's tasked with finding this high value target and bringing him down, but also told, hey, there's a bunch of assassins and other people looking for this high value target on this plane as well. It looks like some over the top action in confined spaces. It looks like a lot of fun is what it looks like. I really enjoy Josh Hartnett. I took kind of a step back from acting for a while, kind of made a little bit of a comeback with Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan movie last year, and been in a few other things since then, and I think before then as well. But I'm excited for this movie. It looks like a fun action movie. And then Sharp Corner also comes out on the 9th. This stars Ben Foster and Kobe Smulders. Robin from How I Met Your Mother. Ben Foster, I feel like underappreciated isn't the right word because people sing his praises in whatever he's in. But it looks like this is one of the first ones where he's really getting to kind of take the lead role, and it's going to be a shining moment for him. Basically, he plays him and Kobe Smulders buy a house on a corner where there is a sharp turn and a ton of accidents, and he just gets sucked into it. It kind of gives me Nightcrawler vibes with Jake Gyllenhaal a lot, So it looks like it'll be kind of chilling, a little bit of a psychological thriller and drama, and just real great character studying character work by Ben Foster in it. So excited for that one. On May 16th, a new Final Destinations movie is coming out. Final Destination Bloodlines, the movie that made people terrified of driving behind semis with trees in it, has another entry that is going to give you a whole slew of new things to be terrified about. The trailer just features a sequence that just reminded me of the dread that's in these movies, where you see all these things that could go wrong. What's going to happen? It's usually not what you think, but something's going to go wrong. A different take on it. It's someone's grandma had a premonition, saved a ton of people back in the day, and now death's coming for all of them and her grandkids, because they shouldn't even exist. So I'm intrigued by this. It's also, I believe, Tony Todd's last film before he passed away. He reprises his role from the Final Destination series in here. So excited for this. Excited for it. And then also on the 16th, Hurry Up Tomorrow comes out. It has The Weeknd in it. He plays an insomniac musician. It also features Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan. I watched the trailer for this, and I'm still not entirely sure what is happening. It gives me thriller vibes, and it gives me just intense drama, kind of trippy, psychological horror and thriller vibes. So I don't know. Looks interesting. The Weeknd, his acting in whatever the name of the HBO series with him and Lily Rose Depp that just had all sorts of controversy around it and may have even gotten pulled from HBO. HBO likes to do that with their shows that underperform just to get tax write-offs. If they had one, Mrs. Fletcher with Catherine Hahn. That was a solid series, but you cannot find it anywhere now. But this movie will give The Weeknd another chance, potentially, and see how it is. Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan are usually pretty solid in what they do, so excited for that. On May 23rd, we have Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning coming out. About time. It's been a few years since we had the last entry in the series. They did drop from... The first one was Dead Reckoning Part 1, so they decided instead of Dead Reckoning Part 2 to go with The Final Reckoning, which I enjoy. Hopefully the Part 1 has been dropped from Dead Reckoning now. Sounds better, Dead Reckoning and then The Final Reckoning. But the Mission Impossible movies are always solid, even when they're not great and a little more cheesy, like Mission Impossible 2. Still a really fun action movie, and you get to see some fun tech going on. Also, on May 23rd, the live-action Lilo and Stitch movie comes out, if that's your thing. I'll be honest, I've never even seen the animated Lilo and Stitch, so this is one I'll probably check out on Disney Plus once it comes out. And then The Last Rodeo, a Neil McDonough starring movie about an old bull rider who is kind of coming back in his 50s, which bull riding, very physically taxing, to try to win a competition so he can pay for his grandson's medical procedures. It's going to be over-the-top drama. It's an Angel Pictures production, which, if I remember right, they're the ones that usually do all the kind of spiritual, empowering movies. And so you probably already know what's going to happen in it, but I like Neil McDonough. He's a great actor. Plays some great villain roles in things he is, and just has the most piercing blue eyes you've ever seen. But that also comes out on May 23rd. And then closing out the month of May 30th, you have Karate Kid Legends, a new movie that kind of brings the two eras of the franchise together. Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan both come together to help instruct a kid. Things he's going through to win the 5 Boroughs karate tournament. So looks fine. I think with Cobra Kai's success, they decided to kind of revamp the movie series. So we'll see how it is. It's the original Karate Kid. Yeah, it's cheesy, but it has its charm and has a special place in my heart. I didn't love the Jackie Chan one with Jaden Smith, and I enjoyed Cobra Kai, fell way behind on it, but enjoyed it for what it was. So this movie, the trailers, it looks solid. So we'll see. Could be good. And then on May 30th, there's some different things. Some say it comes out May 30th. Some says it comes out June 6th. But the IMDb says June 6th, but Google says May 30th, so we're counting it for May, is The Phoenician Scheme, the next Wes Anderson movie with Benicio del Toro, Bryan Cranston, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks. It's a Wes Anderson movie, so I cannot tell you exactly what's going on in it from the trailers. And it also has Michael Cera. I'm not a big Wes Anderson guy. I'll be honest, I'm not sure that I've ever watched an entire Wes Anderson movie, but he has his own style and his own look. And even if I didn't see who it was directed by watching this trailer, I could have told you. So that's your vibe. That comes out on the 30th. So that's going to do it for what's coming to streaming and theaters this month. So nice little overview for you there. Next, just a really quick recap of the performance I saw of Next to Normal. I wanted to call it out because if you are in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, this is playing this fall coming up weekend as well, May 2nd through the 4th, at the Nebraska Communities Playhouse in Hickman, Nebraska, just about 20 miles south of Lincoln. So this is the first time I've been there. I've never really been a community theater guy. I go to those productions. I go to all the Broadway national tours when they come here. I have season tickets for that. If you've been listening to podcasts for a while, you know that. But Next to Normal is a musical that I've fallen in love with over the past year and a half or so, and holds a very special place in my heart and some things that really resonate with me. And I think it's a very important musical. And so at the movie theater, actually, there was a preview for the Nebraska Communities Playhouse, and it showed that Next to Normal was coming up on this season. And so I've kept an eye out and got tickets and wanted to see that because I wanted to have the opportunity to see it performed live. I've watched some slime tutorials. I watched the Alpine Theater Projects. They did a solid film version that they shot kind of like a movie that they did during COVID or around COVID. That's on YouTube. So I've tried to consume this musical as much as I can, but there's something different about live theater. And so I wanted to make the trip out to see it. Like I said, 20 minutes, definitely worth it. And cheap, $24 tickets. You can't find that. This Nebraska Communities Playhouse, how they're set up, really cool setup, really cool venue, very comfortable chairs, concessions, drinks, reasonable. Put on solid productions. The lighting, the music direction was very well done. The audio, very well and clean. You don't, like I've said it here, even at our big theater where the Broadway national tours go, sometimes the audio mix is rough, but it was done very well here. Just a little bit about the Next to Normal, if you're not familiar with it. It's the music's by Tom Kitt, the book and lyrics by Brian Yorkey. It came out in, I believe, 2009. It deals with the Goodman family. So Diana is a mother who has some mental health things she's dealing with, schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, all these sorts of things just that spur from events that she's had and dealt with in her life. Her husband, Dan, both of them, they met as architects. Diana's stay-at-home mom, Dan still out doing his architect thing. Their son, Gabe, daughter, Natalie. And then Natalie sparks up a romance throughout it with Henry. And then Natalie, Diana's therapist, Dr. Fine and Dr. Madden are in it. And the cast, Laura Lindhorst played Diana, and J.D. Madden played Dan. Jacqueline Von Oshweg played Natalie. Eli Shane was Gabe. Christian Carson, Henry. Carson's is Henry, and Bronson Gearhan played Dr. Fine and Dr. Madden. And for a community theater production, this was so well done. Laura Lindhorst and Jacqueline Von Oshweg especially gave fantastic performances. Performances that were right up there with some of the slime tutorials that I've seen and some of these touring productions. So there is on May 9th, I didn't call it out on the streaming thing because it's not on a streamer, but on May 9th, PBS is supposed to be airing the Pro Shot West End version of Next to Normal. So hopefully that will follow either with a theater run or available to rent or buy digitally so more people can experience it. But like I said, I wanted to experience it live. Live theater is a whole other thing, and you can get the emotion of the players. And they did such a fantastic job in it. There were people at intermission that was like, man, I did not know what I was getting in for. I had a hard time holding it together some. There will be tears. It is a very heavy musical. It deals with very heavy subject matter as well, and opens up, I think, a very important dialogue around mental health and just kind of how it's treated and everything that goes along with it and what people deal with it. So, a very powerful musical. Like I said, one of my favorites. If you have a chance and you're around the Lincoln, Nebraska area, it's out in Hickman, this next weekend, May 2nd through 4th, make the trip out there. Like I said, fantastic cast, especially Laura Lynn Horst and Jacqueline Von Oshweg. J.D. Madsen as Dan. He really captures the emotion and gives a fantastic acting performance from it. I feel like his voice wasn't quite tailored for the rock musical that this is. His voice, very powerful and strong voice. I see him more as like a Les Mis type singer in that type of role. But the emotion that he brings to the role was fantastic and did such a great job. And Eli Shane as Gabe, just his rendition of I'm Alive, so good, fantastic. And then Christian Carson as Henry also. And I'm worried because that this auto-corrected it. I want to make sure that I'm giving it. Yeah, it's wrong. It's not Christian Carson's stupid autocorrect. It's Christian Cardona. Christian Cardona. I apologize, Christian. Christian Cardona did fantastic as Henry. Henry doesn't have quite as much to do in this musical, but his credits, he played Quasimodo in their production of Hunchback of Notre Dame. And so I wish I could have seen his rendition of Out There because I love Out There and he had a fantastic voice. So I would have been excited to play that. And then Bronson Gearhan, great as Dr. Fine, Dr. Madden in that role. Nice, spooky rock star. If you've seen the musical, you know what I'm talking about. But go out. If you're looking for something to do around Lincoln this weekend, go see Next to Normal at the Nebraska Communities Playhouse in Hickman. And if you haven't checked out Next to Normal, I'm assuming you're new to the podcast because I have talked about it extensively and it's fantastic. Some of my favorite songs. It didn't make my duets list, but Superboy and the Invisible Girl is fantastic in it. But I Am the One Reprise did make my best duets list, and it just very moving song and moving musical as well. And that's going to about do it for this week's episode. Stay tuned. I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing for next week. We'll see. And I'm not quite sure which movie we'll be doing in May either. We may do Cinderella's Castle, the Star Kid musical, since we didn't get a chance to get to that in April. Things kind of blew up a little bit. But thank you all for watching, listening. If you've been watching my Last of Us reviews, hopefully you've been enjoying those. As always, those are bonus episodes, drop Sundays after the episode drops. Like I said, I'm recording this on Sunday the 27th, so I'll be recording that and dropping that tonight for episode 3. Excited after where episode 2 left us, what this episode will look like. So I just said episode a lot of times in a short period of time. So thank you all for tuning in, watching, listening. As always, comment below what you're excited for most that's coming to streaming and theaters this month, what you're excited. If there's anything I missed, if there's things that didn't really grab me and I didn't throw on here, but you think, yeah, you should watch this, drop it in the comments. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I like chatting with you guys. Reach out to us at Down Once More Pod on Instagram. Reach out there and like, comment, follow, subscribe, share, all that fun shit. And don't forget to go down once more. Later.